Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Thanks for stopping by for another episode here at alliseeisW, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. In today's video, I'd like to cover the latest updates with Bitcoin. Today, we actually had Wall Street perform very well as Bitcoin price. In the morning, it had a nice run up from like 114, had a mini godlike candle. And what's driving all of this? We'll also be talking about technical analysis, my price predictions of Bitcoin, how high can it go in this bull cycle, and what does that mean for companies like Strategy MSTR, the biggest Bitcoin treasury company right now. In fact, Saylor, he started buying Bitcoin back in 2020. And now this year, 2025, we have so many companies following the same strategy right now. Yes, we're seeing the price suppressed, it's coiled like a spring and it's ready to bounce. We'll go through all those updates, what my predictions is. I would encourage you to stay until the end where I will be playing a video clip of Trump talking about Bitcoin and the framework that's changing around the economy, as well as playing a video clip of Tom Lee and his bullish forecast with Strategy being the biggest company, in fact, the number one company in the entire world that's going to be coming. So if you're new to this channel, first off, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's dive deep. We're looking at a post from PlanB today. He posted Bitcoin realized cost price 51,000 and rising. 2 years realized price 88,000 and rising. 6 months realized price 104,000 and rising. In Bitcoin, 115,000 monthly all-time high, higher than all RPs. No signs of weakness. Bull market continues. So we're looking at this visual Bitcoin realized cost price. So what are we seeing? Bitcoin price in red, with the realized cost price, the 2 years realized price, 6 months realized price. Overall, key takeaway, we continue to see Bitcoin trend in the right direction. And Plan B is forecasting that in this bull cycle, we will at least see relative strength of Bitcoin on the monthly RSI achieve 80 plus RSI on multiple months. We haven't even got to those levels yet. What does that mean? Bitcoin has forecast to reach $200,000 in the year 2025. Cryptos Are Us posts that the Fed just published a report exploring the use of gold reevaluation gains to fund a strategic Bitcoin reserve, citing legislation from Senator Cynthia Lummis. So Bitcoin is officially on the Fed's radar. So we're looking at a visual board of governors of the Federal Reserve System. What is this saying? I mean, just key takeaways that we got lots of gold in, we got gold certificates stored in, the Federal Reserve banks all around the United States. And we may very well use those gold certificates as a way to realize those gains off of those gold certificates and, really use that money to buy up Bitcoin as an avenue for the United States to start buying more and more Bitcoin. We hear a lot about this from executive director of crypto, Bo Hines, just talking about the strategy for how the United States will be able to, acquire as much Bitcoin as they can possibly get with budget neutral ways. And this may be one of the ways to do so by not impacting, the taxpayers' dollars. So this is looking very bullish, just given the fact that we have about 261 million ounces in gold reserves, the largest gold reserves all around the world. But just think about, each ounce being priced at $3,300, using that profits and buying Bitcoin with it. Saylor talks about how in the next 21 years, Bitcoin is expected to grow each year with an average return rate ARR of 30%. That's very bullish. I don't think gold's going to be able to do that in the next 21 years. We're looking at a change in how we look at traditional finance, and that's through digital currency. The Bitcoin therapist posts, I mean, he's very bullish. Give him a follow. He's talking about MicroStrategy is a coiled spring. I mean, we saw that all-time high run up last year with MSTR getting from like 100 to like 550, had a pullback to like 220. But right now it's in this cup and handle formation, ready to catapult to the next level. Julius posts Bitcoin at 115,000 would put MSTR at $750 by year end. The bull case with Bitcoin at 300,000 would push MSTR to 2,500, a profit of 557%. I think those doubting MSTR right now will be left behind. In my opinion, there isn't much risk in holding it for the long run. So having this big gap, range, how high can MSTR go? Let's say if Bitcoin goes 150,000, where do you think it'll be priced at? Julius thinks it'll be 750. What about, Bitcoin going to 200,000? Where will that land? And if it were to go to 2,000, 200, 500, where would that be? 250,000, where would that be? So put it in the comments. I'd love to read through that. Romeo posts, I'm undisciplined, but I couldn't resist sharing this MSTR ATM with a 2.5 MNAP and Bitcoin moving correlation. 80,000 Bitcoin, MSTR 394. Let's say 120,000, $616 for the share price. We have 150,000, that's around 782 MSTR, but 200,000 Bitcoin, we have $1,000.59 for a share price for MSTR. And if we have, the profit, Josh Mandel's forecast, 444,000 Bitcoin, we're looking at, 2,412. About the common ATM debate, yes, I'm sad I bought less Bitcoin. Yes, I'm happy to share price is finally stabilizing. And yes, no more collective ATM whining. What a relief. One day I'll be back to consuming and replying. Until then, take care. Let's take a look at technicals of Bitcoin. In fact, Bitcoin had a nice surge today. Where we are right now, it's right around that 115,000, below 115,114,864. Key thing I want to highlight is we're continuing to trend in this ascending channel. We had that pullback of Bitcoin at, April timeframe, 74,000, and it continues to just hover in this ascending channel. Good thing is that relative strength had a cool off. It had a reset from 76 to 39 in the oversold situation. Key thing is we're still hovering above the Ichimoku cloud. I really do think that in the month of August, for every halving event, August tends to have a outperforming year, given the fact that, we're in this bull cycle right now. Bitcoin, really pricing somewhere around that 180, 200,000 is that sweet spot that I see that can happen. But we're hovering right now above the Ichimoku cloud. We want to stay above the cloud because anything where price goes below that, we can have gravity just kick in and price continues to go down. But we're in a good state right now. It's consolidating before that next leg up. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say Bitcoin August breaks through 130,000. Let's take a look at MSTR technical analysis. So with Bitcoin expected to go to like, 150,000, how high would that be? Just on the near term, I just want to point out where we currently are. And just back in 2024, we had like from July to August, the relative strength had a big pullback. I'm seeing a similar trend that we're seeing in July where price got up to like 460. It was, getting close to 500, and then it had a big reversal that was attributed to Bitcoin, Wall Street having a pullback. Where we are right now, I really do think that the price has stabilized. It definitely has found support at this level, 380. But just look, we continue to see higher lows, and soon enough, we're going to see higher highs as we scale out from a zoomed out perspective. Key thing is RSI showing that we're having it in a oversold situation. We're going to start seeing relative strength climb up. I'm also anticipating that the price, is being held very well right now at this ascending channel support. And We're hovering current price on the daily. We're in between that Ichimoku cloud. It'll be important for us to break through that, hover above the clouds, and it'll be sunshine and rainbows from this point on with Bitcoin expected to break out. On the near term, I really do think August, September, we're going to get to that all-time high, break through that 550. Who knows? We get to 130, we may, rocket launch to new levels. But where we are right now, we're looking very bullish. I believe shorts will continue to do what they're doing, but they're playing with fire because MSTR has been primed. We're just in this, cup and handle formation. You see this U shape and now this handle formation. So I really do think MSTR 2025, we're getting to $1,000. With all of that, let's listen to a quick video clip of President Trump ordering the U.S. government to explore new pathways to buy more Bitcoin for the United States Bitcoin Reserve, and then shift gears to Tom Lee.
Also explore new pathways to accumulate additional Bitcoin holdings for the reserve, provided it's done at no cost to the taxpayers. We don't want any cost to the taxpayers. In addition, my order directs federal agencies to conduct an inventory of all crypto assets currently held by the U.S. government and determine how they can be transferred easily to the Treasury.
Michael Saylor is changing the reality of the stock market. And the reason is that he probably will end up being the largest, potentially the largest company in the stock market. Okay. Especially if Bitcoin goes to 1 million. Yet he doesn't generate GAAP net income to justify it. He's based solely on the value of his balance sheet. And but that's not new to history, because when I graduated college, the biggest stock in the S&P, a top 5 name was ExxonMobil. And it was top 5 for 28 years, 30 years, like an entire generation. Graduated, worked on Wall Street. A top 5 name was a company that was only valued on the value of its oil, not on its net income. So like MicroStrategy is like replacing Exxon in lore, because for a whole generation, people said Exxon was the biggest company, but you don't value it on earnings. Well, MicroStrategy could be one of the biggest companies in the world, and it's valued on its Bitcoin.
Wow.
So there you heard it from Tom Lee from FundStrat. Actually, he's the new chairman for Bitmine Emerging Technologies from BMNR, where they're a big-time treasury of Ethereum, similar to Strategy as a top asset for Bitcoin. So we've heard it from Tom Lee. He's saying that MSTR Strategy can be the biggest company out there. There's no other company like the Mag 7s that could use their own reserve cash to buy the amount of Bitcoin that, MSTR has. They've been doing this over the course of 5 years. Cost average is low 70,000. There's truly no second best. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you haven't already done so, hit the like, subscribe. I'd love to hear what your comments, perspectives are. Any questions, leave it down below. Thanks, guys.